If you've ever felt like self-awareness feels like a challenge for you and is a barrier to some of your growth, this is for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Mindful Actions, where we explore ways to experience radical self-acceptance through mindfulness and mindset. Today, I'm bringing up a topic that's at the core of all of my messaging. It's crucial for personal growth, but often feels like it's a never-ending journey. It's all about self-awareness. And I'm even going to touch a little bit about some of the differences between self-care and self-awareness, and you might be surprised by what I have to say, because I tend to favor one over the other, and I'm going to tell you why. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up at any time if you find it helpful. So let's get to it. So what exactly is self-awareness, and what are some of the challenges that surround it? It's often described as the ability to recognize your own thoughts and your feelings and your own behaviors. And while it's basically a simple concept, it's actually a really complex skill. Self-awareness isn't just about knowing who you are right now and knowing, well, this is what I like and this is what I don't like. It's a lifelong journey. It's about constantly observing and reflecting on how you evolve over time. It's important to realize that there's no perfect end goal when it comes to self-awareness and growth. You're going to keep changing throughout your entire life. Think about it. Something that you used to enjoy a few years ago might not have the same effect or happiness level on you now. Or maybe you've had a shift in perspective on a big topic or an issue in your life because of some of your experiences that have happened over the past years or weeks or months. These changes are what you need to notice and how they affect you emotionally and mentally. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago. It's time you learn how to acknowledge those gentle changes over time. So let's break down this complex concept. Self-awareness can be grouped into three main dimensions: introspection, reflection, and metacognition. So let's talk about this. First, we have introspection. This is the process of turning your attention inward and really observing your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors. It's about observing them. It's like holding up a mirror to your inner self and asking, okay, why did I react that way to that thing? Or what is really behind this emotion that I'm feeling right now? Introspection is key because without it, you're just moving through life without ever asking why you do what you do. This is also what I often call living on autopilot. Without introspection, you're just going to live through your daily motions and you're going to do what you're told to do or what you think you should be doing without paying attention. Introspection is vital towards self-awareness and growth. Then we have reflection. This is more about thinking back on what's happened. And no, we don't want to live in the past. We don't want to constantly be comparing things to how they used to be or how we used to be. But incorporating a little bit of reflection is still a really important aspect. And it doesn't even need to be something from a long time ago that you're reflecting on. It could just be a reflection on earlier today. Maybe you had to deal with a tough conversation or a challenging day, and you sit down and think, okay, what went right? What maybe went wrong, and how do I feel about both of those things? Even journaling and meditation can really be helpful in tuning into all of this. Reflection helps you to connect the dots between your actions and your emotions. It's a powerful tool for growth. And lastly, there's metacognition, or thinking about your thinking. It's a bit of a mental workout. It's about becoming aware of your mental patterns and better understanding how you process your thoughts. So for example, when you catch yourself spiraling into negative thoughts, metacognition helps you recognize it and says, okay, wait a minute. Is this actually what's happening? Or is this my imagination blowing this a little bit out of proportion? Or is this just my perspective, not necessarily somebody else's perspective? Or is this thought serving me? Or am I getting too overwhelmed because I'm attached to the emotions surrounding it instead of thinking about it logically? It's that next level of self-awareness because it helps you to break free from unhelpful thoughts and patterns. Metacognition is the gentle pause. It's the gentle pause that helps you to break that cycle that you are stuck in. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. Why is self-awareness so important? Why is this whole process so crucial for personal growth and success? Well, self-awareness helps you to understand yourself on a deeper level. It's all part of this process and the growth. It allows you to make better decisions, whether they're small day-to-day choices or big life changes. It also improves your relationship with others because when you know what triggers you or what lifts you up and what drains the energy out of you, You can communicate that better with the people around you and through your own actions towards yourself or to others. When you're aware of how you react and what you need emotionally, you show up differently for yourself and in your relationships, whether it's friendships or family or even at work. When you're aware of what you're doing, you're changing your patterns. So not only is it important for your own personal growth, but it's important in helping to grow those authentic relationships. You're not acting or trying to be somebody else. You're being who you need to be in order to show up for yourself and for others. And that's a great segue into my next point about another really important note I want to make on the connection between self-awareness and self-care. I'm sure you've heard this before, and people often say this on social media and we're shouting it at you. They'll say, self-care is not selfish. It's not usually, but I'm going to go and play devil's advocate here and say that, yeah, sometimes self-care can be selfish. Yeah, I said it. As with anything in life, self-care is about finding a balance. We live in a world full of relationships and responsibilities, and while caring for ourselves is one of the most important things that we can do, we also can't totally ignore how our actions affect others, the other people in our lives and those relationships, and then in return, how that affects us. Again, it's a full cycle. It's a full circle. There are times when we need to show up for people, even when it's the very last thing that we want to do, whether it's out of responsibility or for the greater good. It's going to happen. You can't just flip a switch and decide that you're only going to focus on yourself without becoming isolated or disconnected from those around you. Sometimes the consequence of choosing yourself in a specific moment could actually make things harder for yourself later, right? We need to think about all of these things. And this is where the importance of self-awareness comes in. This is why I believe that self-awareness is actually more valuable and encompasses more internal wisdom than self-care. Self-awareness helps you to understand when to prioritize yourself and when it's time to show up for others. Did you hear that? Self-awareness helps you to understand when to prioritize yourself and when it's time to show up for others. It's about striking a balance, knowing when to nurture yourself, but also being aware of the impact that you have on those in your life. You can't care for others well if you're not taking care of yourself, but a spa day or a girls' night or yoga class isn't going to create that balance. It might be nice, but self-awareness is this overarching topic. Self-care is a little tiny blip within the whole understanding of self-awareness. That self-awareness of knowing when you're getting close to running on empty so that you can fill up before it actually happens and you need to go do that self-care, that's where the balance is created. So how to improve your self-awareness? How do we do all of this? It's one of those things where practice really does make progress. I'm going to list a few helpful tips here that I found incredibly helpful on my own journey, and as always, they will be in the show notes for you so that you don't have to remember them. So the first one is spending time alone. And this may or may not be up everybody's alley, but it's something that's really important. It's not necessarily something you don't need to seek out time for yourself and time to spend alone if that's something that's really uncomfortable for you right now. But when you do have some alone time, simply notice how different things in your recent days have affected you emotionally. Sometimes we're so busy that we don't even stop to ask ourselves, how did I really feel about that? I just kind of pushed through it. I just did it because I had to do it, but how did it make me feel? Taking that pause is crucial. And another great tip is to reflect on your day. This could be through journaling or simply sitting quietly in thought. But here's the thing, don't just write down the negative things. That's what we're first inclined to do usually. For every negative thing that pops into your head and you write down, I want you to also write down a positive thing. Every day has small wins, and if you start acknowledging those, you will build a more balanced and realistic view of your day. A little good thing, a little bad thing. They may or may not balance each other out, but you got to start noticing the difference between the things that happen to you within your day. And so that goes right into my next item, which is accepting the small wins. This one is huge. Stop overlooking the small victories. I say this all the time on my channel and in my socials. Maybe you got through a tough meeting. Maybe the meeting wasn't great though. Maybe the outcome wasn't necessarily what you wanted. So that's the bad thing that you're going to list, the negative thing. But you got through it and you did what you had to do. You didn't shy away from it. You did it. So that's the positive thing. There are two sides to everything that you do. Or maybe you managed to stay calm during a stressful situation that you may not have reacted the same way in a previous version of you. Recognizing these moments is key to building your self-awareness and that little piece of growth that you have every single day. And finally, my last one is talking to others. I know it can sound counterintuitive to ask other people about you in order to do the self-awareness internal work, but it helps with the whole introspection aspect. Sometimes other people can see patterns in us that we're too close to even notice. We're kind of ignoring it or pretending it's not there or avoiding it. Like when my husband likes to remind me or tell me that I'm getting hangry. He can often notice that external change in my mood faster than I realize that it's happening to myself. So it's important to talk to others and be upfront and truthful with each other. But with that said, please, please, please make sure that you are talking to people who are supportive and non-judgmental towards you. People who will help you reflect, not criticize you. If you don't have someone like that in your life right now, or if maybe that person isn't available to you in that moment, go back to some of those first things that I said, that I had mentioned. Maybe you could even do a reflection or a journal entry as if you're writing a letter to that person. Make that personal connection in your brain as if you're talking to them so that you can feel supported. All right, so let's move on to our mindful action for this week. I want you to do a daily self-awareness check-in. Take 5 to 10 minutes at the end of each day to kind of just notice things about yourself. Check in with yourself. Grab a journal, use your phone notes app, or just sit quietly and reflect on 3 key things. Number 1, what did you feel strongly about today? Number 2, how did your actions or your reactions to things affect you? And number 3, what is one small thing you learned about yourself today? And that could be a thought or a behavior that you didn't really notice before, but you're starting to notice now, and it's starting to kind of come up towards the front of your brain. The goal is to simply notice and reflect on these insights without judgment. Don't say they're good or they're bad, or you're doing a good job or a bad job, or they were helpful or unhelpful. Just notice them. Write them down, and over time, these daily check-ins will help you to build a stronger sense of self-awareness and provide a clearer understanding of how you navigate your day-to-day life. As always, remember that self-awareness is a journey that will continuously change throughout your life. There is no single destination of self-awareness enlightenment, because you may think that you've reached it. You may think you're doing awesome, that you know everything about you that you need to know at some point in your life, but then something changes and you need to reevaluate. But understanding these day-to-day things will help you to do that much faster and much easier. There's no rush to have it all figured out. And the more you practice, the more you'll start to notice changes in how you feel and how you move through the world. I hope this message helped give you a sense of peace and encouragement in getting to know yourself a little bit better. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you found this helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on radical self-acceptance and mindfulness. And before you go, I'd love to know, what's one small win that you had today? Let me know in the comments below. Stay mindful, take care of yourself, and see you next week.